What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with Rafael Brandao and his latest statement on him versus Chris Bumstead. So at this point I have got to say anything he says, that is just talk, and the fans just do not care. Whether you were at 90% or at 80% or at 100% on the stage, the fact that he did not show up to battle at this year's Prague Pro, that makes all this discussion absolutely pointless. And this was Rafael's one and only chance to go up against Chris Bumstead and actually beat him, but he just blew that. And his entire argument loses all the ground when he says that his body was tired and he just did not want to compete anymore. Because if that was the case, then how come he did say that if he loses in Romania, he would skip Prague and do the big man weekend, which is 2 weeks after Prague, so his body will be fresh again in just 2 more weeks. That makes no sense. So all that backlash that he is receiving on Instagram, that is nothing but the anger of the fans. And Rafael Brandao addressing this when everything is already said and done, that just adds nothing but fuel to the fire. Now I am pretty certain that if Rafael Brandao showed up here in Prague, the same way he did for Romania Pro, against Chris Bumstead, he would have lost. He outmuscles cbum, there is no doubt. He outmuscles him every single day. But the thing is, by very little, and he is nowhere close to the level of detail that cbum brings and the kind of separation that Chris Bumstead has. I guess all we can do is speculate, because Chris Bumstead is done for good now. The mutant Nick Falker has been pushing some serious weights in the gym, and he has been growing pretty damn fast in this offseason. Now he isn't doing this upcoming Arnold. He has already clarified that. And the rumor about Nick Falker is that he is gonna be doing this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro. Now if that is true, that means he has more than 6 months before it's time to step on stage. And that is plenty of time to rebuild his body and bring his all-time best. And that is plenty of time in which he can build a solid connection with his new coach and present his best in 2025. Because I don't think Nick's saying that he is a top 3 guy in the world. That is valid now. I mean, it has already been more than 2 years since that happened. And since then, Nick Falker lost to Samson Dauda at the Arnold last year. And he barely won against Martin Fitzwater at the New York Pro this year. And we have to keep in mind, Martin has improved tremendously since this year's New York Pro. The way he showed up for this year's Olympia, that physique of Martin would have beaten Nick Falker. So Nick Falker has to regain his hype. Martin Fitzwater is currently the new star in the men's open class, and he is taking the spot of Nick. So Nick Falker will try and go back to his Arnold 2021 look, the same look that helped him win the Arnold. Because according to Nick himself, that was his best package of his entire career. Now he knows that he needs to watch his waistline. He doesn't have the best quads in the world. His upper body is just way too massive. Plus, he has short legs, which makes him really vulnerable against many of these top guys at the Olympia level, especially in all of those front shots. But then again, if Nick Falker can bring his all-time best, he will always have his freak factor. So the New York Pro, that was good enough to beat a guy like Martin, but to beat this new version of guys like Andrew Jacked, Hunter, Samson Dauda, and all these other guys, he needs to bring an even better version of himself. Now one must give him the credit for posting the most transparent looking physique updates. No proper lighting, no pump, no mirror pictures, no angles. And considering all that, this off-season look of Nick Falker, that is pretty damn impressive. But do let me know what you guys think. Will Nick Falker be able to get his hype back? Next up, we have an update from Behrooz Breon, who was spotted in Italy today. And the news is that he got sponsored by Panada, which we all know is such a big company in the elite bodybuilding right now, especially in terms of the gym equipment. And they have been the sponsors in all of the big bodybuilding shows, including the Arnold as well as the Olympia. And they have so many big names on the roster, like Phil Heath, Ronnie Coleman, Muhammad Fadha, Rubel Mosquera, and so many others. But what's more important for Behrooz Breon is that getting sponsored by this company, that will definitely guarantee his travel towards all of these European countries for all of these upcoming years. And at this point, we can only hope that this will also help him in getting his US visa as well, because that is the one that truly matters. That is the one that counts. Now Milo Sarcev, his coach, he said that if only he knew that there were going to be such big names competing in the post-Olympia tour at Romania and Prague, especially Prague, he would have pushed Behrooz Breon to do all of these shows. And he would have been definitely fighting for the title against all these guys, including Martin Fitzwater in Prague. Because the thing is, we just saw Behrooz Breon this year, especially at the Weight Pro, how he was able to beat a guy like William Bonac. And that too so damn convincingly. And William Bonac is a guy who placed top 7 in the world at this past Miss Olympia. So a top 6 or 7 placing in the world, that would have been guaranteed for a guy like Behrooz Breon, because he's one of those guys who always brings top-notch conditioning. So that being said, 3 prime years of Behrouz's career, they have already been wasted. And maybe if he can get sponsored by a US-based company, that will get him into the US. Breon Ansley's post-Olympia physique update is next, still waiting for his announcement regarding his switch to the 212 class. And I 100% believe that Chris Bumstead's performance at this year's Pro in the men's open bodybuilding and how great he looked, that is gonna motivate Breon Ansley to move to a bigger class even more than before. Because let's be very honest here, Breon will be lucky to ever place in the top 4 again in classic physique Miss Olympia. Because this package that he brought to this year's Olympia stage, that was so much better than some of his previous ones. And the judges still placed him out of the top 5. Plus, those new genetic freaks like Jose Manuel, Matthias Menigate, who both made their Olympia debuts this year, they are gonna take over those top placings, especially from next year onwards. So all Breon will do is hold off these guys for as long as he possibly can. However, if he switches over to the 212 division, he has this opportunity to present something different, to present a bigger version of himself to the fans and to the entire bodybuilding world. Now, Breon, we all know, is still one of the most consistent guys in the entire pro league right now, especially when it comes to showing up at his 100% in any of the show that he enters. He always shows up in his superb conditioning. He has great amount of muscle, not to mention great amount of muscle maturity as well. And we want to see how much muscle he can put on, because we all know that same look with another 10 pounds of solid muscle on that frame, that is gonna look so insane. And 10 pounds, that is no exaggeration at all, because I am very sure he sacrifices that much muscle anyway to make that weight cut off. And maybe all that additional muscle, all that fullness, that can help him bring up his legs as well, show up with bigger legs, and present a much more balanced package top to bottom. Next up, we have a physique update from Patrick Moore. So most of us find this idea of him competing in classic physique division very silly. But after the way he performed, the way the judges placed him this year in 2 of the competitions, Europa Pro, where he placed outside of the top 5, and Legion Sports, where he did not even make top 6, maybe that idea of him doing classic, that doesn't sound so bad after all. Now I know at this point, it is next to impossible for him to make that classic physique weight cutoff, but he has been taking long breaks from competing, and his placings have still gotten worse over all of these years. And let me clarify one thing, he did not look bad at both the shows that he did this year. I think he looked absolutely amazing, especially in Europa Pro. He had such clean lines, beautiful shape. But that being said, he still lacks so much thickness compared to the other guys in the men's open who are winning all of these shows. Now, I personally think that he deserved better than 6th in Europa Pro. But then again, it is what it is. Can you guys believe that this physique was considered so good that he placed top 10 at his Olympia debut back in 2019? And now the competition has gotten so much better. That level of competition has gone so up that even an improved version of Patrick, he is unable to finish in the top 5 at all of these Olympia qualifiers. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.